Thank you very much. My name is Arel Cordero. I'm a PhD student at the University of California in Berkeley. I study computer science under David Wagner. So I'm talking about transparency in the selection process. And we just heard about transparency was needed, and Joe Hall had some good comments about what exactly transparency, what's required in transparency. And so transparency is absolutely essential if we're going to use an audit as an objective tool for analyzing an election. And what that means is that every component of an audit also has to be transparent. It's not enough not enough to just use some of the components. So one of these weak links is the random selection. If this is not transparent, as what Mark mentioned happened in Ohio, then the transparency of the entire audit fails. And yesterday, Fritz Schuren was talking about in Georgia how he came across the same problem where transparency in the selection was absolutely required, and people don't understand necessarily complex methods like how a computer works to generate random numbers. And so so what's needed is a mechanical, observable, transparent source of randomness. And you can imagine hundreds of ways of doing this. And I've tried to think of as many as possible with other people. And in these discussions, we've come up with some simple recommendations that sound almost too simple. And as a computer scientist, I'm a little disappointed that we don't get to use a lot of the machinery that we can. So one of the proposals that we've come up with is to use 10-sided dice to do the selection, or some sort of drawing of 10 objects, as Alameda County did in the previous election, and using this to select among a list of all the precincts or objects that you're auditing. So you can imagine like creating a list of, I created a list of the 101 most popular names, and next to them I put index numbers that correspond to each name. And if I wanted to select, say, 1% of these names, I could roll 3 dice and determine a 3-digit number and look up a name that way. And this is just one procedure. There are many other suggestions, but this tends to balance some of the problems of transparency and getting a truly random sample. So I've observed this done in several counties in Northern California, Marin County and Alameda County, two of them, and there are election officials here, I believe, that have actually used this technique. And so ultimately, what I think is required, more than the details of how to select precincts or objects in audit, is to implement a transparent system, even if it's not perfect. So DICE is one idea, and there are other proposals. And as long as it's possible for public observers to convince themselves that it was done fairly, then I think that's a huge step forward. And I was told that there will be a surprise at lunch for some of you regarding DICE, so I don't know exactly what that is. Yeah. The last thing I want to mention, I set up a demo in the back as well with DICE, and this worksheet will be there, so you can play with it if you want. And so that's